Hi guys, I'm outside today. It is a nice day. It's feels a little less nice just because of that weather that we had last week where it was so hot. I hope you guys got outside and did some stuff, stayed cool, maybe got in the sprinkler or something. And today I'm going to read you chapter 7 of our book. When we left off, it's been a little bit, and that's because I've been at school working, trying to get things squared up for the end of the school year. But when we left off, they were, Molly had just gotten on her horse, and she was all scared, but then she decided it was okay, and then Finn, they were getting ready to do their cattle drive. So the next chapter is called The Weirdest Day. Being outside in Colorado was different from being outside in Ohio. There were no paved streets, only miles of emerald green grass. On top of their houses, the twins looked out over the From on top of their horses, the twins looked over the wilderness. Red, jagged rocks sprouted up from the ground, and snow-topped mountains could be seen in the distance. All the people who'd been in the mess hall at breakfast, plus Roger, were on horseback in front of them. Here's like a little cow picture here. And then there were the cows. White cows with black splotches, brown cows with white patches, big cows, baby cows. It was like an endless sea. But instead of water, there were cows, and more cows. Finn had tried to count them, but it was impossible to keep track of them all when they were moving. His best guess was there was at least 500 cows. "Look at that," Finn called to his sister, pointing out one of the cows that didn't look like any of the other cows. "She has white, with no splotches." A couple of ranch hands were riding their horses beside her. "That must be Snowflake. She's beautiful," said Molly. "I mean, beautiful for a cow." "Beautiful for a cow," Finn repeated. "That sounds weird. And you know what else is weird?" "What?" Molly asked. "We're riding horses next to cows," said Finn. "This is the weirdest day of my life." "Mine too," said Molly. "And Mom and Dad don't even know that we're here. Do you think they're awake by now?" "Probably," Finn said. "They must be really mad." "They must be really scared," Molly said. "I hope our work here is done soon so that we can go home." Roger turned to look over his shoulder. "Great job keeping up the rear," he said. "Job?" Molly repeated. "That's another word for work." "Do you think that this is the work that PET was talking about, or Pet was talking about?" Finn asked. "To follow a bunch of cows on horseback?" "Maybe," Molly said. She patted Dasha's soft neck. "I wish Pet had been more specific." Ella circled back and steered her horse in between Rocket and Dasha. "Where are you from?" she asked. "Harvey Falls, Ohio," Finn answered. "What about you?" "I live here," said Ella. "You do?" Molly asked. "Well, actually, I split my time between Snowflake Ranch, where my dad lives, and Orlando, Florida, where my mom lives." "Who's your dad?" Finn asked. "That's him," Ella said, and she pointed to Roger. "I spend every summer here with him. During the school year, I live in Orlando with my mom." "Orlando is in Florida, by the way," Molly told her brother. "That's where Disney World is. But Orlando isn't the capital. That's Tallahassee, see? And Denver's the capital of Colorado." "Do you know you sound like a textbook again?" Finn asked. Molly sighed. Then Dasha sped up, and Molly's hands clutched the reins tighter. So, now we know who her dad is. "I wouldn't mind being in Disney World right now," she said. "I bet the rides aren't as scary as this." "Oh, the horseback rides here are way better," Ella said. "You don't have to wait in the long lines to go on them, and each time is a whole different adventure." Dasha neighed as if agreeing, and Molly gripped the reins even tighter. "What are all the cows for?" Finn asked. "We're leading the cows," Ella explained. "That's why we're on horseback." "Leading? Where?" Molly asked. "To the pasture so they can graze," Ella answered. "The cows don't know how to get there themselves?" Finn asked. "No," Ella said, "but cows are awesome in a lot of other ways. They have a really strong sense of smell, and they're extremely curious. If we weren't leading them right now, they'd probably just wander off and check out a clover field. I bet they can smell the clover from here." So we ride with the cows, Finn said. Is that all we do? We also build campfires and whitewater rafting, said Ella, and a square dance. A square dance? Molly asked. What's that? It's the state, Ella began, but Finn interrupted. What's that noise? He said. What noise? Ella and Molly asked. That one, Finn said. Shh. The girls listened. In the distance, they could make out a steady knocking sound. It was coming from above in the trees. The knocking sound got faster and faster. Is it what? Molly whispered. You don't think it's one of those rogue cowboys, the grown-ups were talking about at breakfast, do you, Finn asked. I don't think rogue cowboys live in tree branches, Molly said. They don't, Ella said. I told you, the rogue cowboys don't really exist. The sound is just a family of woodpeckers. Woodpeckers, Molly exclaimed. I've never seen one in person. But when she looked up, all she could see was rustling leaves in the branches of the towering birch trees. Roger circled back to check on the kids. Thanks for helping our new buckaroos, Ella. Now, kids, look over yonder, about 2 miles as the crow flies, he said. That's the Blue River, which flows to into the Great Colorado River. And see that way up over there? Oh, wow, Finn said. Is that Mount Everest? Molly giggled. Mount Everest isn't in Colorado, she said. It's not even in the United States. That's Mount Lincoln, right, Dad? Ella asked. Right you are, young lady, Roger said proudly. Well, it could have been Mount Everest, said Finn. It looks a lot bigger. It looks like the biggest mountain in the world. It's not even the biggest mountain in the Rocky Mountains, Roger told them. That'd be Mount Elbert. We're a few days away from that site, but for now, we're going to set up camp just ahead of the clearing. Whoa, Molly said. A few days? She looked over at Finn, knowing he was thinking the same thing that she was. How long is this work in Colorado going to take? Look over there, Roger said. There's a gang of elk. Then he gave his horse a kick and returned to the lead of the herd. The kids looked towards the elk, and they were huge, deer-like animals with tall antlers coming out of their heads. There's a lot of elk in these mountains, Ella said. The moose are a little shyer, but sometimes we get to see them too. They kept riding, and they didn't see any moose or elk, for that matter, though they did see 2 prairie dogs, 3 rabbits, and best of all, a bald eagle soaring over their heads. Kind of feels like Maine, except for the prairie dogs. Rabbits, bald eagles, moose, not so much on the elk, but lots of deer. Finally, they reached the clearing where Roger said that they should set up camp. Finn climbed down off Rocket, and then Finn and Molly helped Ella carefully get... Wait a minute, let's try that again. Then Finn and Ella helped Molly carefully get down from Dasha. The adults busied themselves hammering stakes into the ground, like a steak that you eat or a steak that you secure things with. I think probably secure things with. Okay, so they're hammering stakes into the ground, stretching our tents, and gathering the wood and water that they would need for the night. Did you hear that? Finn asked. Another woodpecker, Molly guessed. I don't think so, said Ella. It sounds like horses. Suddenly, the camp was filled with the thundering sound of horse hooves crashing through the woods. The 3 cowboys with red bandanas tied around their mouth and big brown cowboy hats shading their faces rode into the clearing. Their horses kicked up a giant cloud of dust. They galloped out into the pasture of grazing animals. Their white horses slowed down for a split second, and then the cowboys took off back into the woods as fast as they had arrived. The white cows with black splotches, the brown cows with white patches, the big cows and the baby cows were all moving in confusion and concern. And Snowflake? Wait, where was Snowflake? The most famous cow in Colorado was gone. And that's the end of chapter 7. So, I think they figured out what their mission's going to be, don't you? They're going to have to help and do some work. And the work that they're going to have to do is finding out where this cow had gone. at the farm. I'm going to make a video for you later on this week or the beginning of next week with our field trip to Lily Farms. And there is a cow there, and his name, we named him because he's kind of rare looking. He's mostly white, and we called him, Jacob and Colin named him Lego Head Jack. So I'll see if I can find Lego Head Jack to show you. We're going up later this week to do the field trip. So I hope you have a great day today, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.